So the budget passed. Bye-bye. Goodbye. All y'all. Bye-bye. Donald Trump, I think maybe we're talking like, what is it, 4 or 5 times? Called Chuck Schumer the nastiest word that Republicans could ever muster, the word they abhor, the thing that they think is the worst thing in the world. Yes, Donald Trump called Chuck Schumer a Palestinian.
And Schumer is a Palestinian as far as I'm concerned. He's become a Palestinian. He used to be Jewish. He's not Jewish anymore. He's a Palestinian. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, next question. We're just going to completely continue on as if that were not one of the most anti-Semitic things you could possibly say. Now, it's not a slur to be Palestinian. Let's just get that out of the way, right? No matter how many Palestinians are targeted by this administration, no matter how many Palestinians are having their land stolen in the West Bank with the full or being denied access to food, medicine, water, all kinds of necessary life-saving materials in Gaza right now, thanks to this administration. But he's saying that because he doesn't think that Schumer is loyal enough to Israel. And y'all, this is the definition of Christian Zionism. Trump is not even Christian. You don't even need to be Christian, obviously. It is I, non-Jewish supporter of Israel, get to say when and where Jews who I don't think are fully in line with the Israeli government, which Chuck Schumer absolutely is. He doesn't like Netanyahu, which of course is like, that's a bridge too far. But even many liberal Zionists will be like, yeah, I don't like Netanyahu either. That's where Chuck Schumer is at, right? So this is the week that Donald Trump says this about Chuck Schumer. And it's also the week that Chuck Schumer is giving Donald Trump a massive win and is looking like, although the vote has yet to come down, he is leading the charge to allow the Republicans to pass their budget bill that cuts $880 billion from Medicaid. Okay. And it is like, it's insane. That is what is happening right now. Just had to double check because 880 billion, as someone who cannot fathom how much $1 billion is like, is it really 880? Yes. $1 billion. Disabled people, children, pregnant women, seniors, veterans, so many people who receive and rely on Medicaid in addition to the cuts on SNAP and food assistance and on and on and on. And Chuck Schumer believes his calculation is that it would be worse to shut down the government when government officials are saying that no, it's actually better to shut it down given what we're going through, given the fact that every other day Elon is dismissing and Doge are dismissing willy-nilly federal workers in droves. The fact that the Secretary of Education just cut half of its staff. What's a shutdown? Grind it all to a halt and let's stop the bleeding a little bit, or at least not give up our leverage. So politically, it's stupid. Morally, it's stupid. All of it is bad. And yet Schumer insists. And just a shout out to the Sunrise movement who are leading. If you haven't been involved in any of Sunrise, they're doing trainings. You can get involved wherever you are. I also think the term young people is very loose. If you are older, you can absolutely get involved. Sunrise was arrested this morning, I believe in the Hart Building, protesting Chuck Schumer.
Chuck Schumer is selling out the people of DC and the people of this country. He's selling out working people, young people. He's not standing up.
We are here in front of Chuck Schumer's office to send a clear message that young people want him to stand up. Step up or step aside. Step up and raise the way on you.
I'm here for all of the students, all the teachers in the schools that I was with who are going to get defunded by the things that are going on. Chuck Schumer needs to stand up. Chuck
Okay, so that's beautiful. And let's just remember, like, this is the death knell of the Democratic Party, y'all. Like, it just is. I know it's hard to hear, but it really is. This is a like mass que se vayan todos moment. We're going to talk about Argentina. Que se vayan todos was the slogan in the 2000 economic crisis when all of the political leaders were failing their people. And of course, Republicans are. But these Democrats, and Schumer needs 7 others in the Democratic Party in the Senate to vote for this continuing resolution, and to vote for the funding of the government under the auspices of the GOP's budget bill. Now there's like some machinations that I don't pretend to like fully understand on, like, they're using, obviously that's why we're demanding to vote no on cloture, because voting no on cloture basically means an end to debate, which makes it go through, like all these kinds of things. But basically, like, we want a filibuster proof Senate to say no on this bill. And again, like, there's many reasons for it. And if you needed another, I mean, let's just go obviously to AOC. You know, when this first happened, I was like, you know, maybe, you know, who knows? You never know how progressives or anyone in the Democratic caucus are going to respond, because sometimes they just sort of like are like, well, maybe the calculation is right, maybe things will be worse under a shutdown, and we got to listen to our party leaders. They did not do that this time around. It's not just AOC. Axios obviously has some incredible reporting about, like, not only are people not on board, specifically House Democrats are not on board with what Chuck Schumer and other Democrats are doing in the Senate, but they are now calling for AOC or someone to immediately primary Chuck Schumer and for Chuck Schumer to step down. Here's AOC on all of this.
Republican extreme spending bill removes all of the guardrails and all of the accountability measures to ensure that money is being spent in the way that Congress has directed for it to be spent. This turns the federal government into a slush fund for Donald Trump and Elon Musk. It sacrifices congressional authority, and it is deeply partisan. And so to me, it is almost unthinkable why Senate Democrats would vote to hand the few pieces of leverage that we have away for free when we've been sent here to protect Social Security, protect Medicaid, and protect Medicare. Republican extreme spending.
There you have it. So it's you know, it's not only the budget bill, but they throw away their ability to negotiate and to vote in the future. It's effectively saying, yeah, no, Congress isn't a legislative body. Congress is simply just a blank check, green lighting whatever Doggy and Donald Trump want to do. So it's bad, y'all. And again, it's not just AOC, but also the likes of Nancy Pelosi. Pelosi obviously has got to get her say in, and she did. And look, she's a see you next Tuesday, but sometimes she's a see you next Tuesday who's smart and strategic and is on the right side. She issued a statement. Donald Trump and Elon Musk have offered Congress a false choice between the government shutdown or a blank check that makes a devastating assault on the well-being of working families across America. Let's be clear. Neither is a good option for the American people, but this false choice that some are buying, i.e. Schumer, instead of fighting is unacceptable. I salute leader Hakeem Jeffries for his courageous rejection of this false choice, and I'm proud of my colleagues in the House Democratic Caucus for their overwhelming vote against the bill. I mean, when Hakeem Jeffries, the guy who's like, what leverage do we have? I don't know what leverage we have. Now there is a piece of leverage, which is voting no on this budget, no matter what, so that Republicans actually have to earn your vote. So they do not cut these desperately needed services. Which is the other thing about the government shutdown. It's like, well, what happens to, like, you know, the Senate and Congress's, what about their health care? What about their salaries? What about their needs? What about their security? You know what I mean? Like, the other part about this is that these 8 or more cowards in the Senate from the Democratic side, they're also sort of voting in their own interests because the government shutdown. Oh no, that would affect me. I'm fine with the federal workers being laid off in mass. I'm fine with, children with disabilities being thrown off of their health care or being denied access to, special education. I'm fine with those programs. But me, I mean, again, like, it is so bald-faced. Like, it is so ridiculous. These people do not work for us. They don't care. Democratic senators should listen to the women. Appropriations leaders Rosa DeLauro and Patty Murray have eloquently presented the case that we must have a better choice, a 4-week funding extension to keep government open and negotiate a bipartisan agreement. America has experienced a shutdown before, but this damaging legislation only makes it worse. So I guess there is a world where there would be a short-term funding, but it doesn't mean that they would vote yes on the whole budget bill, if that makes sense. So there's a way out of this, but it's not what Schumer wants to do at this point. And here is what Hakeem Jeffries said, and I think that's Patty Murray behind him.
Is it time for new leadership in the Senate?
Next question.
Is it time for new leadership in the Senate?
Next question.
Mr. Jeffries.
Is it time for new leadership in the Senate? Next question. I don't want to answer that. So it's just so pathetic on every single level when Nancy Pelosi has to tell you that you're doing the wrong thing. Like, you absolutely are in the wrong. Because again, Pelosi's a status quo Democrat, but she also understands leverage when it exists. And so this broke last night. Oh, Shumi, they mad. By the way, Donald Trump, in the same week that he, before we get into this, in the same week that he called Chuck Schumer Palestinian, as I just said that he applauds Chuck Schumer. It took guts and courage, just like a Palestinian. He tweeted, he truths out that he was proud of Schumer. Again. Why are there so many people who want to look like bitches, right? Why are there so many people that want to look like bitches? Gavin Newsom want to look like a bitch. Everybody want to look like a bitch right now. Philip Schwartz reminding us votes aren't in. You can still call your senators. Yes, indeed. And people have. I mean, the lines are busy. I've been trying to call too. And I think the other thing to remember is you can call other people's senators. You don't just have to call your senators. I think that's BS. You're like, look, I'm from out of state. For example, California, I know our senators who I have a lot of disagreements with, but are not going to be voting on this budget bill. So we're good. But I'm definitely going to call your senator. I'm definitely going to call, some of these others, Gillibrand and Schultz. I mean, these are the same people that were like, we're going to fight. We got to stand up. And it's like, here's a moment to stand up. Here's some leverage. And I expected Democrats to actually fall more in line, but they're pissed. House lawmakers feel, let's see. House Democrats are circulating a draft letter to Schumer, which was obtained by Axios, voicing strong opinion to pass the spending measure. The American people sent Democrats to Congress to fight against Republican chaos, they wrote. Instead of capitulating their obstruction, we must fight. We urge you to reject the partisan continuing resolution. The letter, first reported by the Washington Post, was signed by 66 Democrats, including many moderates and swing district voters. This is not just the left pressuring Schumer. A lot of it is being led by former Congressional Progressive Caucus Chair Pramila Jayapal and AOC, but there are frontliners too trying to whip. Let's see. The draft letter is being led by Representative Derek Tran, who represents one of the most competitive districts in the country, according to multiple House Democrats. That means competitive with a Republican, y'all. This is someone who is sticking their neck out against Donald Trump. Okay, like if Derek Tran is leading this, and again, I'm sure he's a total moderate centrist, but at least he knows we cannot give up the ability for Congress to do its job. We cannot just forfeit the entire budget for a $4.5 trillion tax break to the wealthy. A centrist House Democrat who represents a battleground district stressed to Axios this is, quote, not an ideological battle. I've never seen our caucus more united around an issue. Even Richie Torres is in on this. I mean, it's just wild. So people are pissed. Wait, there is a better article, and I thought that was the one that I'm sorry, guys. There's just a lot going on. But yeah, everyone is pissed. People are openly saying that Schumer needs to go. Schumer needs to be primaried. I think he's just got to step down. Like, I think he's, there's no time to waste. We cannot have this person leading. We can't have this person leading the party. This was actually what I wanted to show y'all. Obviously not this. House Democrats feel like they walked the plank, in words of one member. They voted unanimously against the measure, only to watch Senate Democrats seemingly give it a green light. Complete another meltdown on all text chains, said the member who spoke on condition of anonymity. People are furious. All but one House Democrat voted against the bill. Yeah, we know. Jared. Let's see. Several members, including moderates, have begun voicing support for a primary challenge to Schumer, floating names like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Dan Goldman as possible candidates, 3 House Democrats said. One lawmaker even vowed at the House Democratic retreat to, quote, write a check tonight supporting Ocasio-Cortez, the senior House Democrat said. That is amazing. I will write a check tonight. Girl, say the word. Like, you say the word, we are all writing checks tonight to AOC to primary Chuck Schumer. I mean, this has been in the long time in the making. Another Democrat told Axios the ideation has gone a step further. Quote, there's definitely a primary recruitment effort happening right now, not just for Schumer, but everyone who votes yes, who votes no, for everyone who votes no, but basically everyone who actually like passes this budget bill. So that's huge. That's massive. Let me go to okay, so Schumer, Hassan, Peters, Durbin, Schatz, King, Shaheen, obviously Fetterman, Cortez Masto, and Gillibrand are the ones to watch and the ones to call. And this has been hours now. This has been hours. I don't know what updates we've got right now, or where we're at. I think they're circulating amendments right now. Less than 9 hours to go. Let's see. Rand Paul is seeking an amendment. On the Democratic side, there's a major support for an amendment from Senator Patty Murray, the top Democrat appropriator, for a 4-week stopgap that would keep the government running on the current funding levels in an effort to buy more time. Again, they're kicking the can. So that is the option that would not mean that they necessarily capitulated to this budget. Tammy Duckworth, senator, is seeking reinstatement eligibility for veterans and federal employees fired by DOJ, and a report on the number of veterans impacted by agencies. Chris Van Hollen wants to block funding for DOJ or any successor agency. Jeff Merkley wants to limit some of the bill's rescissions, language zeroing out funding for certain groups. None of the amendments are expected to garner enough votes to be adopted, but they would clear the way for a final passage of the House-approved bill ahead of the midnight deadline. It's a little bit of an S show over there, people. Things are a little cray. But I love the idea that they are immediately floating. They're immediately floating like primary challengers. And again, this is something that is resurfacing from 2007 about Chuck Schumer. And we just have to read you. It literally is called Imaginary Friends. And apparently Schumer has said, and I quote, he is accompanied everywhere he goes by 2 imaginary middle-class friends who advise him on all manner of middle-class concerns. What the actual fuck? Oh, God. Their names until recently were Joe and Eileen O'Reilly. Now, this is 2007. So this was like, I thought this was like from now, where I was like, yeah, obviously he's 74. He's old. He's losing it. But no. No, this is from 2007. He was a strapping young, whatever, 60-year-old. Their names until recently were Joe and Eileen O'Reilly. For the book's sake, we wanted them to be more national, Schumer said. They put it in a book, so they became the Baileys. The Baileys live in Massapequa, Nassau County, in a town that is invariably known on Long Island as Matzo Pizza, so very Jewish. The Baileys are both 45. Joe works for an insurance company. Eileen is a part-time employee at the doctor's office. They worry about terrorism and about values and are patriots. Joe takes off his cap and sings along with a national anthem. This is so cringe, yo. We weren't even saying the word cringe in 2005. This is insane. Schumer wrote all of this down. They're not ideologues. They're worried about property taxes. It's the tax they hate. And that's what Democrats don't get. Oh God, they're just little next door Karens. You know what I'm saying? I'm so glad we have words like next door Karens and cringe to properly understand who the Baileys are, the imaginary constituents on Long Island, the wealthy constituents that Chuck Schumer thinks of in his mind, because actually these kinds of centrists, these kinds of Karens are so few and far between that they literally have to live in his mind. I'm sure he's consulting the Baileys right now. Bailey, Mr. Bailey, Mr. Bailey, what do I do? Joe. Fucking wild, y'all. Wild. Thank you, Bolder Than Point. Fran, you're doing great work. I volunteer, and even feeding one family is fulfilling. When you're rich, it's easy and steadfast. When you're us, we take it an inch at a time, and that 1 inch reaches farther than any bought and paid for mile. Keep it up. That's very sweet, and thank you for that really generous super chat. Yes, feeding one child is fulfilling, and I can tell you that as someone who like sees my child eat, and I'm like, I'm filled with joy. And also, it's also, hard to get her to eat the stuff. Although she's such a California bitch, dude. She loves kale and broccoli and like smoothies. It's pretty disgusting. Anyway, before I bring in my guest, the Democratic Party, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Like, these Democrats are done. So until they get out of the way and until we actually have new leadership, it's a wrap. And if they won't get out of the way, then there needs to be something else. I mean, truly, there's only so much you can say, get out of the way, or what? The threat has to be, there must be something else. But you have to understand, even when Schumer is the worst, or Gillibrand is the worst, or Cortez Masto is the worst, or all these folks who are voting possibly for this budget bill, Durbin, King, Shaheen, these, by the way, were all people who also voted for so many of Trump's nominees. Kristi Noem, Russell Vogt didn't get the votes, but the precursor to Russell Vogt, I'm forgetting his name, some other Doge Project 2025 a-hole. They voted for all of them. They all voted for Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is now single-handedly trying to get green card holders deported from the United States. So remember that it's not just Schumer, it's not just these senators, it's also Hakeem Jeffries. Okay, it's good they got their caucus in line, but they don't have much of a clue beyond this. So it is time for new blood, and if that blood is not allowed to flow, then you gotta abandon this carcass. So the budget passed. Senate votes to, Jesus Christ, you guys. Senate said to advance bill to avert shutdown. Enough Republicans. This is updated a few minutes ago. They're voting to advance a Republican written stopgap spending bill to avert a government shutdown at midnight, with enough Democrats joining Chuck Schumer of New York in voting with Republicans to push it past any filibuster by his own party. I cannot believe they're doing this. They need 8 Democrats to join them. Yeah. Senate votes to advance House-passed GOP-crafted government funding bill into a final passage vote. Okay, so there's going to be a final passage vote. 10 Democrats voted yes. Durbin, King, Schatz, Schumer, Cortez Masto, Fetterman, Peters, Hassan, Gillibrand, and Shaheen. It passed 62 to 38, 10 Senate Democrats. So there's one more final vote, I think. But if you've got 10, you're probably going to have 8 in the final vote. Bye-bye. Goodbye. All y'all. Bye-bye. Resign. Look at Kirsten Sinema. She's now working for Coinbase, y'all. She's got a lovely life, just hawking cryptocurrency. Why can't you all do that? Just go. I swear to God, I hope Fetterman's sweatshirt eats him alive. I don't know how that would work, but I really... Nina Turner obviously calling for everyone to face primary. Yeah, no, they're done. They're done. Goodbye. You couldn't risk a shutdown of the government. We've been here before. They're already shutting down the government. You're giving them now the legislative recourse to do exactly what they're doing. You're just giving them you're giving them a green light. You're giving them a blank check. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuationroom. Do